could feel beauty rising.
Hi, my name is Sue Schaetzke with Vermont Volunteer Services for Animals Humane Society, and welcome to our show, For the Animals. Today we have two guests, Dr. Randy Schaetzke, and he owns a business called Holistic Health Services, and that's on Route 4 in the Waterman Place in Quechee. And we have May. May belongs to the station manager, Angelina. May is about 5 years old. She is a black lab crossed with a schnauzer, we think. But she agreed to come on the show today and talk with us because Randy is a doctor of chiropractic medicine as well as a diplomat. What's that?
Diplomate, International Board of Applied Kinesiology.
Mouthful.
Just rolls off your tongue.
Both of them. Okay, would you tell me about both of those studies?
Well, as a chiropractor, you learn about the body, anatomy and physiology even more extensively than the medical profession does.
You were saying that you go to school 4 to 6 years.
Right.
Wow.
Yep.
That's an investment.
Yes, it is. And but then you're licensed in every state that you're going to practice in too. And basically, the theory of chiropractic is based on the nervous system, balancing and stimulating the nervous system. And that the nervous system runs through from the brain through the spinal column, and the segments of the spinal column can become, we use the phrase out of place. There's more of a scientific explanation, but we'll stick with out of place for now. Anyhow, that kind of impairs the flow of nerve impulses, in the communication between the brain and a body part. So the science of chiropractic is removing those blockages and restoring that flow of the nervous system, and that increases the person's or the animal's health.
Okay.
So we're talking about four-legged and two-legged.
Exactly, we're all animals.
Right.
So does this deal with energy flows, or is this...
It's actually specifically nerve impulses.
Okay.
I mean, really, if you break it down, your nervous system is driven from your body. That's not your brain necessarily driving your body. In other words, every joint, every ligament, every tendon in your body has little nerve endings in it. Okay. And when you move those, they fire into your nervous system, into the spinal cord, up into the brain, and literally light up your brain. So then it can, from there, it may bounce around and have different parts of the brain do different functions, which then fire back down into the body and perform various functions. Okay. So the extent, like say the example, people will say, well, I got my circulation, I need to stretch and get my circulation going. I feel better once I get my circulation going. It's like you're not getting your circulation going, you're actually stimulating your nervous system. If you had a poor blood supply, your hand would be purple or something like that. It's not really blood supply. It's actually bombarding your nervous system, waking up your brain.
So what happens when your fingers are white and your toes are white?
That's circulation.
Okay.
But that could be under nervous system control too, as in certain diseases.
I'm trying to get some free medical advice here.
We can do that.
Okay. And so you're...
The applied kinesiology?
Right.
That's a whole different approach that it really brings me into a holistic type of approach. It's a method of using muscle testing for diagnosing and treating the body.
Okay, the word holistic.
Holistic? Well, many people think holistic means natural. Okay. It's not. Holistic means considering the entire organism, all parts of it, and how those parts are interactive. Whereas natural might be using something that's organic or not foreign to the body. But that's not necessarily holistic.
Okay, so what exactly is a holistic approach to animals, whether they're two-legged like we are or four-legged like May?
Well, looking at this, in applied kinesiology, we look at a triangle. We look at the structure, the chemistry, and the psychological aspect of a being or an organism. It would be the same with animals. Wow. So as a chiropractor, I look at the structure, or as a applied kinesiologist, I look at muscles and fascia and tendons, and also the nutritional aspect, which can get into so many different things. We were talking about that earlier because May, like my daughter's dog, is scratching even though they're both on top of the line food. Right. And you had to say what about that? Well, oftentimes this time of year especially, and the skin seems a little dry or the coat seems a little dry, so usually I like to increase fatty acids or some oils in the diet. Mm-hmm. Olive oil, mineral oil, what? I like olive oil.
Okay.
I mean, I know there's specialty items out there that are made specifically for pets too, but I'm really not that familiar with them, so usually just use it'd be omega-3 or omega-6. So it's olive oil, it's an omega-6, but we can't really know for sure if they need a omega-3, which would be more fish oil.
Could it be harmful? Could you give too much?
Be doubtful. You end up with very loose bowels, and that would be a clue.
Ooh,
You'd be
okay.
the first to know.
Yeah. Or second.
Yeah, second.
So you might just take.
I might try it on 2 different samples, see which one works. They would like the best because they tend to gravitate towards what they need too. Unlike humans, which we have that educated out of us, that natural instinct, like, gee, I really need this.
Right.
Instead, we're craving Ben & Jerry's. It's like, oh, that's not a good instinct.
No vitamin E or enzymes in that?
No. So that's just one thing it would do for the skin. Otherwise, we can get into other aspects of diet and things too for dry skin. Just even food allergies.
Right.
And I'm sure a lot of people are aware that animals have food allergies, but why do they have them? And why do they get them? It's the same reason people do.
What's your theory on that with animals?
Well, it's highly possible that they have leaky gut syndrome as well, which is, well, let's back up. Way back. Okay. Yes.
Back before the...
Well, let's just say a stress response. Let's say an animal or a person goes through a stress response. Your nervous system changes when you go through a stress response. That flight or flight kind of phenomena. Well, if you're in that flight or flight phenomena, that sympathetic dominance, you tend to shut off nerve supply and blood supply to your digestive tract because it's not important. It's more important to get impulses to your brain and to your muscles and your heart so you can handle the run from the acute stress.
Right.
It's made to be acute, short-term, short-lived stress. When it goes on and on and on, for whatever reason the stress is, well, then you start seeing changes in the digestive tract. It starts to maybe atrophy a little bit, and then you get a little bit more porosity in the intestines, or maybe a lack of hydrochloric acid in the stomach. So if that occurs, then you don't break down food particles down small enough. And if they get absorbed into the gut lining, then your immune system starts to react.
That's very interesting.
And then your immune system sees those particles next time and goes, let's go, let's attack. And so you get a reaction someplace. It could be digestive symptoms, could be fatigue, could be joint pain or skin. And dogs aren't going to tell us necessarily if they're really tired. They're just going to go, I'm cool, I'm just going to lie here today.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's hard because getting the feedback is through your observation or what their guardian is telling you.
Right. Well, there are other ways to find out through muscle testing what's going on with an animal, though.
And we're going to do something like that.
Sure.
Good. Cool. Let me just ask you a couple more questions because there's so many things that I'd like to talk about. By the way, I think it's time to give May some treats. May. Angelina's off. Oh, there's another
she's
dog.
doing something else.
Oh, there's another dog here. Okay. This is a very friendly studio for animals. We love White River Junction. Okay, so how can you increase the nutritional status of your pet and at the same time be economical? I know right now she's eating little treats to keep her focused. But
Well, one thing I've always liked, I don't have a dog presently, but I used to give my dog brewer's yeast. And people can take that too. It's something we've kind of forgotten about over the years, but it's a great a product that is inexpensive, has a lot of B vitamins and chromium in it, and I always found it helpful in preventing fleas and
I was just going to ask
of that nature too.
So you just sprinkle it on the food?
Yeah.
And it tastes all right?
Yeah.
Good.
You could also use wheat germ too. That's another inexpensive way of getting nutrients, fortifying the diet or the food without going through a packaged supplement. But there are lines of veterinarian supplements too that I even use in my office too.
So do you see animals in your office as well?
Occasionally. Sometimes I see them outside the office too. Now, as
You make house calls?
I have.
All right.
Yep. And and then it can also coordinate with the vet involved with the animal too.
Sure. What type of animals do you work with?
Mostly dogs, but I have worked on a few cats, and a rabbit, and a donkey. And I learned to do a type of method on horses too. And actually, the applied kinesiology could be done on pretty much any animal. The chiropractic gets a little trickier with different animals, and there's different techniques I use for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have so many questions I want to ask you, but before we get off the food part, what are the effects of like the same brand diet? You know, same thing all the time.
Well, I think the same brand diet, well, you end up with not having enough mixed nutrients, and also it gets back to that leaky gut type of thing. I think a lot of the brands that way are going to be missing something, and you're not going to get varied enough. And I know that a lot of people are aware that animals don't eat wheat and grains and whatnot, but a lot of foods out there for animals do have that. Mm-hmm. As you're constantly giving your animal wheat products or even corn, on a chronic basis, I think that's going to have an ill effect on them over a long period of time. Because they just don't seem like if they're descending from wolves, let's say, I don't think they sat around looking around going, well, let's go get a loaf of bread here and maybe make a caribou sandwich or something, I don't think that really was in their existence.
I know that there are vegetarian dog foods, though. I haven't come across any vegetarian cat foods yet, but wouldn't they just supplement them with vitamins and nutrients?
I think you could, but I know people who just have it. It's the same diet all the time or the same brand or something. And I think if you mix it up a little bit more, just like our diets are varied, we do better when it's varied. So we make sure we get all those little nutrients and things, because you don't always know how the food was grown, where the sources are. A lot of vegetables and such have depleted soils, so they don't have the micronutrients that we might need. So just varying it, I think, is a healthy idea.
My daughter's dog loves veggie treats.
Oh, great.
Carrots, yeah.
Well, they do eat vegetables, they just don't eat grains, typically.
Okay. Can animals receive the various types of alternative health medicines that people do? And I know earlier we were talking about chiropractic, acupuncture, Reiki, massage.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I have a friend who does Reiki is doing it on horses right now. And and I guess the horses just get so mesmerized by it.
Is that Leslie by chance?
No.
Children? Okay.
No.
Okay.
Joanne Modisette.
Don't know that name.
Okay. That's just Reiki, Master, and Qi.
Yeah. Okay.
But you can learn how to do that to your own pets too. It's really something we can learn pretty easily, I think, because it comes natural to a lot of people.
Sure. We've done a couple shows on Reiki. Really interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
We had 3 cats that were brought in as ferals, and Kelly McDermott came over and sat with them and did Reiki more than once. And it was so funny. We did a time lapse on the camera that showed them first looking at her and then
kind of just
yeah, it's great. It's really interesting.
We all need that once in a while.
Yeah, I know.
Well, then there's actually massage you can do on animals too, especially with hip dysplasia, that type of thing. That some animals get. I find working into those muscles within their tolerance, but trying to loosen up the fascia and the connective tissue really can make a difference on the motion.
So that's more than just a one-time fix. It's something that you would continue or teach the person. Right, and you can get
kind of deeper and deeper. So there are, you can learn to do it yourself, just if you have a good sense of feeling what is your animal sensing, kind of get that communication going.
Right, and we talked earlier about acupuncture.
That works great too. There's a number of vets in the area, I think, that do that as well for all different types of animals.
Do you do acupuncture yourself?
I do not.
Okay. We were talking earlier, Kiwi, my dog that's no longer with me, needed acupuncture as he got older. And when the veterinarian would put the needles in at first, it was like, but then after the first couple, he accepted them. But we would sit in the room and the energy, we were both, 20 minutes later, we were both sleeping. That's how.
That's great.
Yeah.
I do use the meridian points, though. There's a thing in acupuncture called alarm points.
Okay.
And there's the various areas that are like points that directly relate to a specific organ or system in the body, like hormones or digestion or kidneys or bladder, that type of thing.
It almost sounds like the chakra work. We just did a series on chakras.
Yeah, but it's not really the chakras. It's different than that. And so I'll use those points with muscle testing to help diagnose or get some idea if there's like an adrenal issue or a thyroid issue or a liver or gallbladder issue going on.
Okay.
And then kind of correlate that with other indicators too.
So we were talking earlier, how is applied kinesiology used on animals? Do you want to demonstrate?
Sure. What we do is called surrogate testing. So normally with a two-legged animal,
okay,
I say hold your arm up or whatever muscle I'm testing, and I test many different muscles. Yeah, I'll show you. Let's just test you first. Now, let's just use a muscle that's underneath the shoulder blade here. Hold the arm up, don't let me push it down. Okay, that's nice and strong. See how that kind of locks into place?
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're basically looking for. Now, I'm just going to change the strength of that muscle for a moment here. Now, hold the arm up again. Okay, try it again. See, now it got a little weaker. Now,
but wait a minute.
Yeah.
What did you do? I mean,
don't mess with me here. Hold the arm up. All I did is run an acupuncture circuit backwards and forwards. Run it backwards. It temporarily weakens this particular muscle. So just for demonstration purposes, what it feels like when it's weaker.
Do that again, because I...
Hold it up.
I swear to God,
I could just leave it that way. You know? No, it'll balance out by itself because there's not really a problem here. I'm just kind of inducing a weakness so that we can see the difference.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah. So, so it's a way of getting nice feedback.
Yeah.
You know, of course, with you, we would look at points on your body to find out what's going on with you or something. So with an animal,
I've got this neck thing going on.
We could do that, but we probably should.
All right, make it the camera.
Okay. So what I would do here is, well, I didn't want you to lie down.
Come on, Meg.
Okay. Actually, sit up.
Oh, rub my belly.
Come on.
Excuse that was me.
Okay. Now I want you to put your hand on her.
Okay. Left, right.
So, right. And then just put one hand on her. So then we kind of create a circuit here. Okay. All right. So now I'm just going to touch in different places. Now she looks pretty healthy, so we don't know we're looking for anything particular. It's okay. Yeah. So if we found something that would just cause a weakness here, then we would know that. Well, that's.
Do I need to get on the ground?
No, this is fine. So right now we're not really finding anything, and I wasn't really expecting to.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if we did, then we could take a nutrient or a substance, a food substance, and feed it to the. Okay, yes, you were good. You deserve this, and feed it to her, and then see if the muscle strength changed.
Okay, and so the reason I had my hand on her was
to create kind of an electrical circuit.
Very interesting.
Yeah. More?
She said, come on, Randy.
All right. She was really good.
She was really
Star
good.
of the show. Okay.
That's interesting. So what else, I mean, could you...
So if you're going to do chiropractic with her, now there's two forms of chiropractic that you can do with animals. One is where you actually manipulate the bones like I do with people. But I don't do that with animals. I haven't been trained in that particular method, and so I have this other method, which uses this little clicker type of gun, and I didn't bring it, but it works real well with animals, although I don't really prefer it with people.
And it does, what's its
And what it does,
purpose?
it basically has a little quick tap, and it stimulates the bone that I'm working on here, and it doesn't really move it like the classic chiropractic would, but it initiates a impulse into the joint receptors that I mentioned earlier, fires up into the brain, and then back down through the cerebellum of the brain, telling the muscles how to function, and literally trying to help correct it that way. So it's a little slower approach, but with animals it seems to work quite well.
And is that something that's a one-time, sometimes fix? Or
Sometimes.
is it something?
I had a neighbor's dog at my office here that was limping a bit, and it would jumped off the steps.
Ooh.
And it was an older dog too, so I just came out and just did this, and then bing, starts bouncing around. Being
That's
fine again.
incredible.
It was cool. It was
Wow.
really cool.
I have a dog that I'm thinking of that Kiwi, my baby, was for 4 years on Medicam. It's an anti-steroidal,
Really?
not inflammatory. And Kiwi 10 minutes afterwards, he would just be a puppy. And then I found out it's also available at the pharmacy in Malaxacam for $4 compared to, the $100 bottle. But it saved Kiwi. It gave him quality life for 4 years, but I never thought about coming to you.
Well, anything that there's an inflammation, which is common, you have to look at why is it there. I mean, that's one thing I always ask is, why is that? Mm-hmm. And just because you see something and you can get rid of the pain somehow, but why is it there? So what do you need to do to eliminate the reasons that came about?
Could you also deal with something with regards to bowels, say on a cat? Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting.
I mean, I don't know what it's going to be, I mean, it could be, you go through the sequence, liver function, food allergies, digestion, probiotic cultures, that type of thing, a lot of different things. Nervous system, where nerves on the spine control that area of the bowels.
I'm seeing another show real soon, if you're up for it.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Okay. We only have a few minutes left. Is there anything else that you can tell us that I haven't asked yet about what? And first of all, the kinesiology.
Right, applied kinesiology. Yes.
Where did you go to school for both? I guess.
Well, applied kinesiology is something there's what's called the International College of Applied Kinesiology. It's international. I mean, there's organizations all over the world now. It's huge. And mostly made up of chiropractors, because it was started by chiropractors, but there's MDs and dentists and vets and psychologists involved with it too, because it encompasses their aspect of their perspective as well. And I've taken hundreds and hundreds of hours of courses and classes and whatnot with that, and so I've passed the tests and everything to jump through the hoops to say that I should know what I'm doing on these things.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of cool because it gives you a lot of perspective on how to approach things.
Well, and for your chiropractic?
Chiropractic, I went to a college that was in Long Island at the time, and now it's upstate in Seneca Falls, New York Chiropractic College, and that was quite a while ago, about 35 years ago.
Is chiropractic now covered by insurance?
It is, pretty much by most insurances, but these days, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I mean, you don't want me to start talking about insurance.
Well, you could. We have a few minutes left.
Well, it's
putting it on a platform. This is the beauty of public access.
It's changing, and I'm not really happy with what they're doing because they're missing the boat on healthcare delivery and what their perspective on health is. They're really not getting it. They're sticking with the same medical model for the most part, and just reshuffling who's paying for it. A couple of things they're doing that's going to look pretty good as far as better coordination of care, but their philosophy of what is health is not changing, and that's what's flawed. And that's why it costs so much in this country, too.
I couldn't agree more. Okay.
Yeah.
Which veterinarians in the area do you work with?
Probably anyone. I haven't had anybody refuse me, but Heather and
Heather Hoynes
and David Lamb.
Okay.
And Chris
Mangini. Chris has been on the show a few times. In fact, I'm hoping he'll come on next week. We're doing a show on inadequate or shelter for animals. We're getting a lot of phone calls now that we're coming into winter about dogs especially, and we do have some farm animals without shelter or inadequate shelter. And Title 13, Chapter 8, easy to look up on the website, VSA, specifically states that there are requirements for adequate shelter. It has to protect from the elements, and elements, wind, rain, draft, cold, heat, and it's a matter of educating not only the police, but the general public what's needed to protect an animal in the winter.
You would think that would be common sense.
You would think so. You would think so.
Right.
So, we have 2 more minutes.
Oh,
give me anything that you would like to about your work.
I think need to work with vets a little closer so they can have a better idea what a holistic approach really is.
We have some awesome vets in the Upper Valley.
Okay.
We're lucky.
Yeah, I know some of them are that way, but some aren't. They're pretty much, they do what they do well, but they're not really thinking in a holistic way or what else could be done. So I think I could try to educate them a little bit more, open their eyes up to what else could be another way of viewing this.
Right.
But veterinarians generally and historically have helped further nutritional awareness in people. Much of the nutritional awareness that we have on nutrients and whatnot has come from veterinarian work years and years and years ago. It was not through the medical profession. So a lot of what I do nutritionally to help people with poor ligaments, say for instance a mineral manganese, came from research that vets did in England some 50 years ago.
We had dinner the other night, and you were talking about different foods that had different effects on people and the body. Can you recall?
As far as what was I saying?
Health benefits.
Well, yeah, different foods have different effects as far as their nutritional content.
But with helping with specific ailments, I'm trying to remember what our conversation was.
I'm not sure if it was this, but there's a principle of like yin and yang that you're familiar with. There's a diet according to that too. Now, some people should eat more yang foods, which are more heat-producing and strengthening and contracting type of characteristics, whereas yin foods are more expansive and dampening and whatnot. But there's difference in motions on that scale too.
Give me an example out of each category.
Well, real yang would be real strong, masculine, truck driver kind of thing,
Okay.
And whereas a real yin would be like Tinkerbell,
So,
real flighty and dingy.
Are we talking about root vegetables?
Well, root vegetables would be something that would bring you more towards the middle, but they'd be something you would do this time of year. That's what we were talking about, the time of year, I think.
Right.
There is that philosophy of eating foods that are native to your area this
That's
time
right.
of year.
That was the conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, in my opinion, you really shouldn't be eating a lot of tropical fruits and things right now.
Because?
It's not what your body really needs. It's not going to supply what you need for this time. Root vegetables, for instance, would give you more heat production, which we could all use these days.
Sure.
And
it just feels right. I mean,
does.
to put a roasting vegetables, your beets, your potatoes, your yams,
Yeah. So there's a whole different foods that are more that way versus then there's a middle category, or like rice would be towards the middle, and your sugar would be at the extreme, very in.
Like,
yeah,
very tiny.
Yeah, you really don't want that. It's
Right.
like if you were trying to think of the food pyramid that the FDA has.
Oh yeah, don't get me started on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That is so ridiculous.
Well, who funded it?
That's right.
Duh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it goes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much, Randy, for joining us today. And May, thank you for joining us. Angelina, thank you for letting us have May. And everybody in the audience, thank you for being here. And please, would you come back again?
Sure.
I do have a cat specifically that I'm thinking about that could definitely use your expertise.
Okay.
Okay. And thank you all for watching For the Animals, and join us again next week.
At dusk, there came a turning. There was a moment when all was known. You could feel beauty rising on the breeze, the shapes, the stone. And I would ride upon the breeze that shapes the stone across the sky and